Hey YouTube, and welcome to my new movie review for the Langoliers. Yes, that's right, the movie that came out in 1995. First of all, I need to say this, guys, straight off the bat. I completely and totally understand why people would think that this movie is an absolute pile of rubbish due to its incredibly, at the time, pathetic CGI of the Langoliers. But in my opinion, guys, this movie is absolutely brilliant, and I'll explain my reasonings right after the synopsis. The Langoliers synopsis. Most of the passengers on an airplane disappear, and the remainder land the plane in a mysteriously barren airport. Guys, this movie is an absolute masterpiece of cinematic history, obviously not including the CGI elements to the movie. My absolutely biggest reasoning for why I absolutely love this movie is purely because of the element of the consistency of how and why in the movie. The characters throughout this movie are so ridiculously, consistently well crafted to the point where the audience is constantly asking the question is, what is going on? With a 3-hour runtime, guys, it really never lets up. I love how every character in the movie to do with the runtime is so on point. They really knew where they were going and where they wanted to get there. Like Stephen King, if you don't know, Stephen King actually wrote the book of the Langoliers and he wrote the script to the movie. And Tom Holland, no, not Spider-Man Tom Holland, this movie is well before his time. He wasn't even a thought in the womb yet. But yes, this movie is absolutely, it's stellar. It really is. And I'm not even gonna be just like, this movie's alright. Guys, this movie is really incredible. Of a rating of M, purely because of the fact, the reason why this movie got rated M, guys, is because back in its time that you don't really see much. Like what you do see of some blood elements and stuff like that, and the thrilling and the mysterious sci-fi connection to all this. It's just so well executed. The character chemistry in this movie is staggeringly on point. It really is. It has one of the most phenomenal questionings in a movie. Like seriously, the element of question of how, why is this happening, what is going on, draws the movie's 3-hour runtime so perfectly. I saw this movie many years ago, and I just remember thinking to myself, yeah, it's okay, but it's not great. Like, it's really not great. But then rewatching it, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did. Now, this movie review is a huge shout out to a dear friend of mine, the Blind Kiwala, and I'll link his YouTube channel in the description of this movie review for you guys to check out if you'd be so kind. Look, honestly, guys, I remember watching it years and years ago, and when I watched this movie, in case you don't know this was actually a mini-series on TV. It was a 3-piece mini-series because it's a 3-hour long movie. So they dropped an hour, I think it was like an hour every Saturday or Sunday night. And I just remember thinking back then, the mysterious elements of what is happening in this movie. And it is the fact that the dialogue for the characters in this movie paints the picture every step of the way, like literally every step of the way, for the audience members to just constantly be like, what? Wow. Like every single step of the way, like literally. I remember watching this many years ago and watching the first part and thinking, holy moly, it kind of left me on a massive cliffhanger, and then the next episode left me again on the cliffhanger, and then the final show, the final part of it, I'm sort of glad, and again, I'm sort of glad that I watched it the way I watched it in the 3-part element, because I actually did that again, rewatching it, even though I have it on Blu-ray, DVD, sorry, it's not out on Blu-ray, it's only on DVD. But having it on DVD, being able to watch it in its full runtime, I still actually didn't. I watched it in segments. This is a movie that easily, like many, many movies today, is easily a movie that you can pause and go back to because of the way of the pacing of it. It's not fast. It's a really, and I won't say slow. It's not slow paced, but it's a very steady paced movie. And the element of the questioning behind what is going on in this movie literally keeps the audience so engaged. Really, I mean, really, every step of the way. It really, really does. And those of you who've been following me for any period of time, I love talking about character chemistry, because character chemistry, besides script, storyline, the CGI, which in this movie it's horrendous for its time. But I feel okay, I've got to tell you something. This is the reason why I actually feel like I don't feel like I'd ever want to see this movie remade purely because of the CGI, is because of the character acting. The actors in this movie are stellar. Seriously, they are absolutely brilliant. Dean Stockwell's character in this movie is by far one of the most critical. I mean, yes, the rest of the characters are critical as well, but his character specifically is so incredibly critical to the development of the movie. So, for those of you who've been following me for any period of time, I do not do spoilers in my movie reviews, because I don't care how old a movie is, I don't think spoilers are fair. His background of his character is really, really interesting, because he actually reminded me a lot of Stephen King. And those of you who don't know, and I'm not going to reveal where he is, but I'm just going to let you know, Stephen King has a cameo in this movie, and it was right at the end. That's not a spoiler, just letting you know where it is. It's right at the end of the movie. Though it's pretty far into the end of the movie. It's probably in the middle more than anything, because of the 3-hour long movie. But again, his cameo is brilliant. It's vital to the storyline. It's absolutely impeccable. Alongside Patricia Wetty, she has an incredible elegance of her character has the most amazing elegance to it, that every time she has screen time with a certain character, with any character on screen, you're constantly wondering what is going to be happening next, purely because of just her elegance, her beauty, her grace, her visual. Like, she's just such a stunning woman. But her role in this movie, guys, is just breathtakingly beautiful. Like, it really, really is. And every character in this movie, it's explained what they are, who they are, where they come from, what their background is. And every single element of it is so well executed, specifically her character. Also, Kate Mabberley in this movie, guys, her character is specifically, really, really, really specifically vital to the storyline of the movie. Now, and as I said, no spoilers, but something happens to her character later on in the movie. And I kid you not, guys, the way that her character is written into this movie and her journey in this movie, and it just drives the narrative of the story so compellingly. And she has something wrong with her, and as I said, it's all explained, the entire thing is explained. She has something wrong with her in this movie, and it actually works in her favor and to the favor of the rest of the crew, literally, to execute what needs to happen. Because I don't want to give anything away, but I tell you what, guys, just the way that her character is completely unfolded in this movie, it is just absolutely brilliant. And there's a scene in this movie where her character is in threat of something, and I tell you what, I think every time I've ever seen this movie, I get thrown back in shock because of what I'm about to see. And it's so well executed by her character, and it's the innocence, the pure innocence, but also the mystery and the how of her character is just outstanding. And also, guys, Mark Lindsay Chapman. Now, his role is really, really integral. I mean, like unbelievably integral to the rest of the to the core embodiment of the movie. I love the fact that his character in this movie, he's just so understanding. He believes what's happening in front of him. He wants there to be a good element to the outcome of this movie. His character is constantly in this place where he wants justification for things that happen in the movie, but not only that, he really is he's like a draw card, guys. He really, and his accent is so thick. I mean, he has such a thick accent in this movie. But I tell you what, guys, the nature of something of the character chemistry between him and another character's role in the movie. Oh my gosh, it plays out so well, so good, so real. It honestly, guys, it just is so unbelievably written that he's kind of like the hero, He's kind of like the hero, but in an unusual way of being a hero in a movie. And not only that, David Morse's character in this movie, guys, is really, oh, wow. How he actually ends up on the plane really is script in the elements of the script is so well done. And there's many more elements and characters to this movie, guys, that have such a vital and integral part to the movie. There's so many people in this movie, guys, that just bring. Then I'd love to go into them all, but there's just so many, guys. There's so many characters in this movie that really just they really are such a vital part of the movie, and they draw the movie on, and their storylines and their backgrounds and where they end up at the end of the movie, and just the balance, the pure balance elements of this movie that come together. It is just impeccable. I'm not kidding you, guys. I thoroughly enjoyed the Langoliers. I really do. This just is one of those movies with such, and those of you who have been following me for any period of time, you know exactly what I'm about to say right now. Rewatchability, guys. Rewatchability, guys, for the Langoliers is an absolute on point. It really is. It has so much rewatchability. Now, before I continue on, guys, I just want to talk about another character, Bronson Pitchett. I thought, straight off the bat, guys, you will honestly, straight off the bat, when you see this movie, you will know exactly how you feel about his character. Instantly, automatically, you will know exactly straight off the bat how you feel about his character. I kid you not, I'm not going to give anything away, guys, but you will know exactly how you feel about his character. But surprisingly, what his character's element and the stuff that is in his head and that he goes through, and he's the real reason why this is a horror movie, is what he sees and what the camera sees him see. It's just so well done for a 1995 movie, guys. It is really brilliant what his character can see and goes through, and the journey of his character, and the what the heck is happening here with his character constantly. It's just stellar. It really is. It honestly is brilliantly. It is so well done, guys. It is so well done. This movie really is such a a feat of brilliance. And I mean, it's Stephen King. Come on, it's Stephen King. Like, seriously, can the guy do anything wrong? Like, really? His horror movies are just on point. And as I said earlier, guys, this is one of those movies, in my personal humble opinion, guys, that I would hate to see remade. I just would. Unless they got the cast back together, which they can't because they're all grown up now. But the script would have to be the same. I don't know. In my personal opinion, this would be that really hard movie to do a sequel, to do a reboot to, because in my opinion, besides the CGI element, that literally is the greatest flaw in this movie. And for those of you who've been following me for any period of time, guess what time it is, guys? Trivia time! In the novella, there is no wind, not even a light breeze when they're in the Bangor. Since this was virtually impossible to execute for the movie, they simply created dialogue to explain that, even when the wind and the clouds down here not moving. Next piece of trivia is, guys, filmed in and around Bangor International Airport in Maine, Stephen King's hometown. Next piece of trivia is, guys, much of the story derives from Stephen King's own fear of flying. King often writes true life experiences into his novels. Next piece of trivia is, guys, Jenkins mentions that they could not go back in time to stop the assassination of Kennedy. Going back in time to stop Kennedy's death is the premise of another Stephen King work, 22nd of the 11th, 1963, in 2016. Next piece of trivia is, guys, first of 3 Stephen King's adaptations that David Morse has done, followed by The Green Mile, amazing, 1999, and Hearts in Atlantis, 2001. I love The Green Mile. That is literally one of my top 5 favorite films of all time. Just a bit of fun fact. Next piece of trivia is, guys, cast members Dean Stockwell and Kate Mabberley have both starred in a film version of The Secret Garden, 1993. Next piece of trivia is, guys, on set, Bronson Pinchot was friendly but mischievous and would do impressions of Kate Mabberley and Tom Holland and Kate Mabberley on set, and the director and later asked to do an impression of each other and was so impressed with that. Next piece of trivia is, guys, Dean Stockwell's character, Mr. Jenkins, speaks to the impossibility of going back to the Texas Schoolbook Depository on November 22nd, 1963. In the 2-part season 5 premiere of Quantum Leap, Sam Beckett and Al, played by Stockwell, go back in 1963 and attempt to do just that. Next piece of trivia is, guys, Boston is mentioned in this story and another Stephen King story, Dr. Sleep. And if you guys have not seen Dr. Sleep, you absolutely must. I highly recommend it. Next piece of trivia is, guys, Stephen King has said that the character of Bob Jenkins, a writer and mystery novels, is based on him. Next and final piece of trivia, guys, and I will leave you with this, is the Langoliers themselves were originally going to be portrayed by puppets, but were replaced with CGI instead. Unfortunately, the poorly rendered and animated monsters ended up looking laughably hokey and are regarded as some of the worst CGI effects ever. How crazy is that? And yes, it's very true, unfortunately. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. Thank you, seriously. Have you had your chance to see the Langoliers? Truly. Leave your comments in the comment section below. I'd love to hear back from you guys. Tell me what your thoughts are on the Langoliers. Did you love it as much as I did? Because I love this movie. I really appreciate your time. If you haven't, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you'd be so kind. If you're on a mobile device, click the bell for notifications, guys. I really appreciate that. Leave a thumbs up on my movie review if you like this, if you've seen the Langoliers. I appreciate your time, and don't forget, guys, who's bringing this movie review to you for the Langoliers. This is Superman Steve. Until my next movie review, flying out!